Welcome to Anna Goes Outside. Today we're here at the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, specifically Beaver Marsh, which is one of my favorite places to come find wildlife because of the sheer amount of it. I mean, there are herons, there are ducks, there are insects, everything you could possibly imagine. And we're hoping to find some today and talk a little bit about what we find. Alrighty, we're here in the national park and I'm currently looking for the blue herons. There's a lot of them that I've seen around here. And last time I was here off to the left, I had found one eating some fish. We caught it hunting. It was pretty cool. But I also know there's a lot of wood ducks around here. There's tons of species of dragonflies, snapping turtles, I mean, everything. So I'm gonna try and keep my eyes peeled and see what we can find. Got our first animal friend of the day. Oh, he's pretty. The coloring on them is so incredible. Something really incredible that you can see on the heron actually are these long, thin white feathers that stick out a little bit. And what's really interesting is when they're hunting, those feathers smooth out to help them camouflage better into their surroundings. And when they're comfortable and relaxed like this, they stick out more. What you're watching him do right now is a sort of pant. This is something that they do to help regulate their temperatures. And this is really common in a lot of birds. They keep their mouths open and do a sort of panting. That's all that is. It's so cool. It is very hot out here, so I can understand why he's panting like that. It's something like 90 today. He's a hot little guy. I'm right there with you, bud. So one of the last times we were here, which was spring at the beginning of this year. It's currently the beginning of April, which means that they're about to start having their babies pretty soon. So this is the time when they're trying to get the nest just right for laying their eggs. Some of them have already laid some eggs, but about this time, we're starting to see a lot more of them coming together to breed. So, you could see them flying behind me. It's so cool. Oh my gosh. There's one up behind us kind of sunning himself and stretching out, and it is so beautiful to see this close up, just this many of them. So if you notice when they're flying, they kind of glide along as they're flying, and although they're really large birds, they look like they're really big, they actually only weigh about 5 or 6 pounds, and that's because all bird bones are hollow, and they need to be really light so that they're able to fly. So even though they look like they're huge, they actually don't weigh all that much. And this is such a huge reminder as to why our national parks here in the United States are so important, because they have this space where they are protected and they're able to nest like this. The fact that there's this many of them and this many of their nests is incredible. So that's why it's so important to get outside and explore your national parks, because you don't know if you're actually going to get to see something like this, which is so rare and so incredible to see. And I actually just ran into a woman who's really sweet with her kids that traveled all the way from Chicago to see the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and they got a tip from one of their park rangers that this was out here, so they came all the way out here just to see that. Pretty cool. Here in the park we came across one of the largest rookeries I've ever seen, so a huge nesting area for a bunch of the great blue herons, and we had the opportunity to watch them flying around, collecting sticks and actively making their nests together. And it was absolutely beautiful. The reason I brought up the rookery though, there are so many great blue herons out here in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. And it's just a really beautiful thing to see. We're very lucky to have caught him right on the way in. We actually just had a wood duck fly in next to our heron friend. Oh, look at her. So this wood duck that just came in has female plumage, but what's difficult to tell about whether it's male or female is that right now the male ducks are going through something called an eclipse. And an eclipse is the period of time when the male ducks are not flighted. They don't have any flight, and in order to protect themselves, they molt all of their male colored feathers, the male plumage, and instead grow in feathers to look like the females. Just insane to me. So it gets a lot harder to tell if it's a male or female. So actually I've come down here and all the wood ducks that I have seen have had female plumage. So, I mean, it's just really, really hard to tell at this point. But the reason why is because of the eclipse. It's pretty amazing. Something else I mentioned earlier is that only dabbling ducks go through an eclipse. Just kind of insane. Diving ducks don't have to go through that because diving ducks have the ability to dive underwater to hide and protect themselves. Since dabbling ducks don't have that ability, they're the only ones that go through eclipses. We just found a bunch of different species of bees over here, and I thought I'd talk about how fascinating bees are. So what's wild to me is just how intelligent that bees are. You know, if you're somebody who's really into bees or has ever done beekeeping, there's so many interesting different behaviors that they have. It's fascinating. One of the things I learned recently actually is that honeybees do something called washboarding, which is where when they have a hive, they will clean the outsides of their hives. And it's not really known for certain why they do it, but they'll use their mouth and their little hands to clean the outsides of their hives. And it's also another thing that they do is they can actually fan the outsides of their hives. So when it's really, really hot out, multiple of the bees will line up on the outside of the entrance and flap their wings really quickly to keep it cool. Just incredible that they're capable of doing something like that. It's amazing. There's also a lot of really cool native pollinators out here. We've seen so many bees and butterflies, and that's been a really special thing for us to see too. This is what we're looking for. Gotta find the snappers. It's kind of hard though. Like there's just so many lily pads down here. Like look at that. Still, my favorite fact about dragonflies is that there are thousands and thousands of species of dragonfly and damselfly. Unbelievable to me. Like how are there that many? But you come out to somewhere like this and you see all of the different kinds and it's overwhelming. Like there's no possible way I could identify all of them unless I had been like studying them my whole life, it feels like. We've seen a lot of butterflies as well today in addition to the dragonflies and damselflies, but part of the reason I try to really talk about the butterflies as much as possible too, especially monarchs, is because I didn't realize that monarchs really, really heavily rely on native plants and native milkweed. Planting milkweed is super, super important to their species because monarch butterfly caterpillars can only eat milkweed and nothing else. So if they don't have milkweed, there's no possible way for them to survive. So something that you can do to potentially help wildlife around you is plant things like native plants and native milkweed, especially to help with our monarch butterfly population. Earlier this year, we had another opportunity to visit the Cuyahoga Valley National Park during the great blue heron's nesting season. And we saw an incredible variety of wildlife, and we want to show you what the Beaver Marsh looks like in the springtime. So this marsh in particular is just so lively with wildlife right now. It's currently around sundown. We're starting to get to that point. Starting off strong, first thing we immediately saw was a Cooper's hawk, which was so cool to see up close. I turned my head and he just happened to be right there, and we got to see him take off and try to catch another bird, which was so cool. And on the way down, we came down to this little marsh area, and there's another heron back behind here eating some fish. There's a wood duck over here, and he's so beautiful. There's some turtles, winged teals. There's so much. Winter was a little tough for us over here at Anna Goes Outside because I am not a big fan of the cold, not very good with it. But also during spring and summer, obviously, all of the wildlife come out and they're much more lively. And so getting to see this at this time of year, beginning of April, is really, really special. And it's nice to see so much. I feel like every turn I see something new and something to point out. It's amazing. I'm really excited. There's a little muskrat home off to the side, and they were coming out to go swim around. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen. But we also got really, really close to one. She came like right up to us and then dove into the water at the last second. So that was really cool. And the wood ducks are out as well. We finally saw a female along with the male wood duck, and then there were maybe about 3 male wood ducks there. Pretty cool though. What's also super awesome is I just met my first park ranger, which is amazing. Shout out to Park Ranger Reagan. Let's hear from her for a sec. Why do you think people, or more people rather, should visit Cuyahoga National Park?
I think that we are really different from some other national parks out there. We're right in the middle of a whole bunch of big cities and little towns, so we're super accessible, and we provide a little bit of an oasis, some green space in between the hustle and bustle of daily life. And I want people to come out, enjoy our little piece of heaven out here in the middle of the cities.
We just came across a friend here. Would you tell us your name, please?
Andrea, Ireland.
Andrea, awesome. Andrea, we were just talking about, well, first and foremost, you have a camera. It's super common that people just like stop you, which I love because I love talking to people.
Right.
But the best part of that is meeting birders.
Right.
And Andrea just told us something fascinating. Andrea, you told us for the last 30 years you've observed the great blue herons over at this rookery here in the national park. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Sure. So I've been doing it as a citizen science project for the National Park Service at the Bath Road Heron Reef for over 30 years.
Yes.
I was down there when they first started nesting, and there were just a couple of them, and it was so fascinating. We had such a good view. It's such a unique experience because we have that view. There are other heronries within the park, but you can't drive up and sit in your car
and see that
and drink your coffee and see that.
Yes.
So it's pretty amazing that we have that resource available. And so we've taken advantage of that over the last 30 years by building that wayside pull-off and the interpretive exhibit. And we've continued to do monitoring over the course of the 30 years. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
There's been other volunteers who have helped. And they're just fascinating. You know, they're local icons.
Yes.
They usually make it on the front page of the paper when they come back, which is usually around Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And so the spring you get that anticipation of, oh, they should be back, right? And then they start coming back, and there's their rituals, the males coming back first, and then the males picking a spot, and the females accepting sticks.
Yes.
And then the whole process of, 30 days of incubation, and then 60 days to fledge, and then the leaves come out and you can't see anything anyway.
But it's so beautiful to like actually watch it happen in real time.
It is.
We were so lucky we had the opportunity to see it just this past spring. This was my first time watching that happen. And seeing that in real time is just like, you just can't believe how many of them are around you there.
I call it macro birding because even if you're not a birder, you can see these. It's not like confusing fall warblers like, what?
No, I don't know that bird species.
Or LBJs, little brown jobbies that you can't track. These are big birds. You can see them. You can see their nests. You can see their babies when their heads are sticking up. And it's a gateway bird. So
that's amazing.
Draws people in.
Well, Andrea, thank you so much for your time. Seriously.
Certainly. I hope to see you out there in the spring.
You'll see me. We'll be there. Anna goes outside, baby. We had a really successful day, I'd say. We got to meet Park Ranger Reagan and Andrea, who's been protecting and looking after that rookery for over 30 years. Absolutely amazing. It was a great day. We saw a lot of wildlife. I'm plumb tuckered. I'm absolutely exhausted now. I think it's a good time for us to head back, get some water, maybe take a little nap later. We had an incredibly successful day here today. We got to meet Park Ranger Reagan. We got to meet Andrea today. And it just goes to show you how many people there are working in conservation fields to help protect spaces like this and the wildlife within it. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. So I'd say with the heat, my day's probably done. Thanks for watching this episode of Anna Goes Outside, and don't forget to keep an eye out the next time you go outside to see what you can find.